second part of that video. So this is very important topic I think we have to touch when comparing the two bikes. First, we have to ask ourselves what these bikes are actually good for. Because if you're thinking of racing, then neither of them are good. Well, unless you are sadistic. Because let's say if you want to do enduro racing, clearly you get yourself an enduro bike. If you want to do rally racing, you get yourself a rally bike. A rally bike today is neither or two of them. It's 500, 350, or 450. Enduro bikes transform into rally bikes. Why? Because they're extremely capable. They have a great suspensions out of the box. They are much lighter. You're starting with a base of 100, 102 kilograms instead of 150 at least, or 200. Loads of kits available to make them into rally bikes. They are cheaper, they are easier to run, they are great fun, and they are quite reliable. Now, if you want to argue that obviously this 690 platform was born from the 640, 620s, and 990 previously, racing in Dakar, that is true. However, there were different times. Dakar looked different, and also technology was different. So these days 450s are actually very, very reliable and a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, I have my Husky FX 350. I took it with 250 to 260 miles on the engine already, and I'm using a bike as much as I can, and it never left me stranded, never let me down. It's absolutely beautiful, it's spot on. I absolutely love the motorcycle. And if you say, would you do a rally on a bike? Yes, of course. I will inspect the engine because I'm not the first owner. I don't know what state it is. I would do it, but I would 100% take a bike on a rally racing, and it's just a 350. But in mind, it's a FX, not FE. People even race FEs. The difference is engine power. FX is much more powerful. It's a motocross engine, which is good and bad. Now, back in the U2R. So if you want to race in, it's 450 or 500 or 350, whatever, dirt bike. These two bikes, they don't actually fall in any of those categories, in any race categories. Now, doesn't mean you can't race them. You can race this one and you can race that one. And if you enter, for example, in UK, or I guess all over the world, rally racing, they will fall into different categories. That is a twin class, and this is a big ball single cylinder class. Because, again, you can't really compare them. They are different. Now, you can if you want to, but if you enter that class, so you're not looking at the results in overall, because overall actually this is what it counts. You want to be the quickest. For example, Hellas Rally, you've seen every day, each day you have good riders. Let's compare good riders. Even Paul Torres was there on the T7. Let's say roughly the similar experience or similar kind of capability riders. 450s, 350s, and 500s used to finish the day, same coach, about an hour and a half quicker than the big bikes class. And we're talking top riders, not average Joe like me. All right, so that shows you the difference. An hour and a half quicker on a day on the rally racing. This is how easier, less tiring, and better they are. Doesn't mean you can't race the twin class. There's plenty of people entering twin class. Why? Well, because it's cool. It's nice. I've seen with my experience with people I've raced against, I find a lot of people doing a lot of racing on the 450s, on the dirt bikes. It's been a lot of years. They've got plenty of experience. They want to spice things up. They want to make the job a bit more difficult for them probably, or just be a little bit more cooler. Because, from outside, they look cool when they pass through. It's a big, heavy bike, big engine. It sounds big and it sounds mean. It looks mean. It's cool. And these are usually people I race against. And so they want to spice things up. For me, 100% would be much easier on the 450. or 500 or 350. Doesn't mean I don't race this. I race it because I'm sadistic. I don't know. I'm not sure. But this is again preferences that probably 5% of us choose to do on these bikes. So what these bikes are actually good for us these days, even these old KTM, these are pretty much adventure bikes because they are kind of rally bikes, capable, to say so. They are capable in enduro, depending how capable you are. I'm not talking Portaris, I'm talking people like me, so average Joe, with bit of skills, bit of learning. They can actually do much more than you think, and they are great fun. It comes at a price. They are tiring because they're heavy, but they still gives you loads of fun. What I found out is that the more I train or race on a 350, the more I appreciate, the more I like my T7. Why? Is because I grow the skills up. Grow the skills up. It doesn't say something like this. I improve my skills. The better I get with the techniques and riding the motorcycle, the small one, the better I'll ride the T7. So the T7 every time shows me that this bike is much more capable than I am. Every time I think is a bike limit, and every time the bike proves me wrong. So it really is up to how much you want to invest in yourself and in your skills. Because if you have the right technique, the bike isn't tiring at all. I know it's heavier, I know it's top heavy and all the stuff, but the weight only really matters when you drop the bike. When you're racing, of course, you can't go as quick as in a 450s, for example, because if you stay before the corner, let's say you're braking into the corner. Well, if you have 100 kilograms less to slow down on a sketchy surface, that's gonna stop earlier, and it's gonna accelerate faster probably as well. And so they are less tiring, to be honest. But the weight mostly plays the role when you have to pick it up. So when you fuck shit up, but the better you are, the less mistakes you make. So, there you go. Anyways, back to us, to what these bikes are good for 90% of people is adventure stuff. So let's say, for example, if you want to take one older bike on adventure. This now, between, again, no fake comparison because I'm doing mine, which is different than a normal T7, to this one, which is slightly different than a T7. I would probably choose a T7 because this is only 30 kilograms lighter now. This is probably 145 and that is 175. So about 30 kilograms difference. Now this, I can ride this much more relaxed, both on the road and off-road. This is still great fun, it's not far away, but we're talking about this reliability, I would think. Because that bike, you don't even think about it. It will take you around the world, you come back, you do the oil change, and do it again. And probably do it again. This, even if it does it, it will keep you on your toes. For various reasons. Again, they are quite reliable, but, for example, when you go on the forums, KTM 4690s, majority of the posts are kind of asking for help, how to solve the problems out. My bike making strange noises, my bike doesn't start, my bike stalls, my bike flames out, my bike doesn't respond to the throttle, my bike does this, my bike does that, what should it be? When you're looking at the T7 forums, again, this is just normal people, none of that stuff is available. It's very little issues, and issues are like, I don't know, something completely stupid. Asking for what oil you have to change, or I'm disappointed because my chain didn't last 100,000 miles. I'm disappointed because my brake pads are already done and I have to change them. But nothing kind of serious as issues as on the KTMs. And now, like I say, this is for the average Joe, not for me. For majority of this stuff, don't have a problem. If something gives up on this engine, I can probably take it apart and fix it in the field. or do a remedy so I can go home anyway. However, all of these small problems that are quite common on these, or may happen, or I've seen happen to people, just don't happen on the Yamahas. Again, of course, you pay the price, but how big of a price is this? Again, only 30 kilograms. So, I don't know. On the adventure, like long distance, if I'm going to, let's say, Morocco for 2-3 weeks, a month or two, I'll probably take that because I know the bike will always work with me. It will never work against me. And when you pick them up, you're actually not picking up 30 kilograms more because you're making the leverage. You're not picking the whole bike up. You're just picking up from, bike is already on the ground. So isn't that much of a difference really. Now let me show you, why not? Fuck it. Let me see if I can put this phone here. So you can see it. Yeah, that'll be alright. So this is surprisingly not as light as you would think, saying it's 30 or whatever kilograms lighter. Because when you're thinking 30 kilograms, it's like, oh, quite a lot. If you remove that from the bike, this is going to be much easier. But again, it's not. Because not picking up the whole bike, it's just the leverage. So, if I put this down, here, up. It's not lightweight, it's completely lightweight. Alright, let's try 37. I will bring this here. So you should see me. I'm sorry, I'm doing this proper live. Not picking the whole bike up, just one side of it. It's not that much of a drama. I would say there isn't much of a difference. I mean, yes, you can feel something, but it's not 30 kilograms. And this is what I'm talking about. It's not 30 kilo that you feel when you have to pick them up. So again, sometimes there is a misconception because we're reading the brochures, we're reading the numbers, and you can see 30-40 kilograms difference. Again, no Motis 7 is 195 kilograms, so it will be much more of a difference. I get that, but we compare mine to this and what I should do. And yeah, as you can see, is a struggle with both. This by no means is not a dirt bike. That is even less of a dirt bike, but it is as much of a dirt bike as you can make it. There's a lot of people racing them and doing stupid stuff that they shouldn't, and they have loads of fun with them. And they have dirt bikes and they prefer, having fun with this for different reasons. But again, adventure, I don't know. Fully prepared T7 like this at 175 kilograms, it really isn't bad. There's another thing to say, that weight and the size of the bike matters when you put panniers on it. Because, let me throw my Krieger panniers on them just quickly, just because we're talking about it, so it would be nice to kind of illustrate. I love this stuff. We really like them. Anyways, usually panniers are on the back there, alright? It's not really a great spot. Now mines are kind of on the passenger side, not behind the passenger. I'm trying to keep them as low as possible, as this is convenient, and as forward as possible. And you can see they are right there where my boots finish. So I can actually rest my boots against them, but they're not on the way. And this is perfect position, I think. And then a tent probably there. However, is where the passenger sits. So the weight is not optimal, because the optimal piece of weight is right there. The heavier the bike, the bigger the bike, the better it will carry the weight. For example, this one will carry the weight slightly less optimal. You will feel when you're riding the bike dynamically more than you feel over there. For example, I was trying to carry those panniers on my 350 just to see how it is to travel short distance, only about an hour and a half to on the tarmac on the road to get to place. Then we've done 10 hours of green laning and then an hour and a half to on the way back. And I put those fully loaded, trying to simulate, as much as weight as possible. It wasn't too much on a 350, and it was fine, absolutely fine. I am actually inclined to, I could travel on a completely lightweight bike on a 450, 500, no problems. But on a T7, you barely notice anything. On this, you notice it slightly more. On a lightweight bike, like a 450 dirt bike, you do notice it quite a lot. It's not disturbing, you can still manage, but the difference is bigger. This is something worth mentioning as well. So depending on what kind of journey you're gonna do, how much of a hardcore off-road you're gonna do, and then, there you go. When it comes to adventure stuff, I think even the 450, 500s, lots of people when you have 500s, especially in America, but there's a lot of people actually I find out in UK as well, 350s, 450s, 500 as adventure bikes. They gear them differently, they use them on a motorway as little as you can, but to be honest, I use my T7 on a motorway as little as you can. Regardless of the motorcycle, I hate motorways on the bikes, regarding of the bike. So, and then B roads, no problems with none of these bikes, even on my 350, absolutely great. A lot of people do it, and then once you step into green laning or any kind of off-road, a proper dirt bike, enduro bike is in these elements. So that's another option. But these two are, both of them, capable of motorway if you have to, because there's not always a choice. Or if I have to do 4 hours on B roads, which is alright, or an hour on the motorway, which is shit, I'm doing motorway and I'm saving 3 hours, because tarmac, I don't like it anyway. 3 hours is like, why, I do it, I save it. So again, what these bikes are good for, and they're good for adventure, pretty much, kind of off-road adventure for most people. Again, you can race it, you can do rally race, you can do whatever. I mean, I've built my T7 for Africa Eco Race because that was my dream, and then if that's gonna happen or not one day, God knows, we'll see. I'm working towards it. It's not so easy for us normal working class people. It's not easy to throw 25, 35 grand at the 2 weeks race. That's that's a big pill to swallow. So but we'll see. Definitely preparing myself, done race in 2 years, surprised myself, again, won a couple of races. I'm not consistent because I don't have the physique for it, because I don't train physically, I don't spend enough time on the bike, and but then again, the bike shows the potential. I've shown, at least I believe so, some potential, so could do it. But then you're thinking, well, now as you know what you know, will you still do it on a T7 or on a 450 proper rally bike? Don't know. I don't know. I'm probably one of those 2% of stupid people who will actually probably do it on a big twin. Because these bikes, I don't know, they don't make much sense to use them off-road, but when you actually use them, they have something, they deliver something that is unexpected. Doesn't make much sense, but it's just both of them, to be honest. Not just that. I'm not slaying this one. I'm not saying this is a bad bike. That's good bike. That is absolutely awesome, and this is great too. I don't know. I'll probably still use that. And every time, this is what I'm saying, every time I'm using my 350, I love it because it's completely different, it's nimble, and it jumps, is great. But at the end of the day, I do miss the T7, and I say every time, I say, well, next time I'm gonna come back on the T7, even if we've done some gnarly stuff, because why not? And so This to be adventure bike doesn't take much panniers, maybe bigger than this. This is 36, maybe 40s, maybe 80s. You can do whatever on the side panniers. Then obviously tent on the back or whatever. That's my tools. That's obviously my spare tubes and everything I need to change the tubes. That's the compressor. But all of that is needed if I'm gonna go somewhere seriously, because these tires and these tubes only for road use. Anything else, I'm using mousses. So all of that is gone, and I can use it as just packing stuff up, because one of these, or even slightly bigger, both sides, and you can pack quite a lot of stuff. Nothing hard, because if you crash, you're gonna smash everything in there, because that obviously is the first thing, is gonna take the impact, as you can see. So you don't want anything fragile there. Clothes maybe, something's not gonna destroy it if you throw the bike on top, and everything be more fragile on the top, and that's all it takes, really. So this, the beautiful thing about this is that it could be a race bike, could be a rally bike, or a rally racing bike, or an adventure bike, and or like today, for example, you daily just take it to go to work. Yeah, this will do it quite similarly, but the reliability kind of concerns are, when you're doing adventure stuff, are probably amplified, because when you're in the middle of nowhere, you don't want some strange things to happen. Example, I follow a guy who travels, a British guy who travels around the world, one of these, actually the early models, one of these, and his shifter spring broke, so he couldn't shift gears. And he was very lucky, he said himself, he was very lucky, he was close somewhere, and he managed to limp the bike to the first town, and with some mechanic, God knows, they obviously changed the spring, and he was able to continue. But he said if he was in remote places, that would be a very, very difficult situation. I mean, stupid stuff like this, and it happens. So, I don't know. I think reliability is bigger of a concern than the handling of 30 kilograms more or less on the big motorcycle. If you're talking dirt bike, for example, 110 kilograms to 160 kilograms, yes, that will be a big difference. But between 150 to 175, not that much of a difference. Not really. As you can see, you can pick them up both relatively similarly. All right, I'm making board swap. Anyways, I think this is it. This is end of that stuff. Another thing on this bike, what I find out is that the steering, look, how quick the steering finishes. It's quite poor. T7 is a longer of a motorcycle, but the turning cycle is actually better on that than on this. Again, not a big deal. And if they were designed to do Dakar and rally racing, you don't need it that much. But when you're staying in the woods, when I've tried it, a few times it's like, this is a bit shit. It could be better. Like if you have a few more degrees, it will make quite a lot of difference. I never had that issue on a T7. So that's another observation. Again, none of these small bits are a deal breaker. However, all of them combined, and you on your toes sometimes. But again, still a good bike. I will still, very much like one of those. I think this is it. That's enough. Me rambling and flapping my gums. I think that is still a better bike. In overall,